Hello everyone, James Phillips with the Firearm Firm channel. I want to take a moment to thank our subscribers for following us, and I would like to encourage those that are joining us today for the very first time, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe icon located in the lower right hand corner of your screen. We have been getting great comments and feedback from our recent videos, so please continue to ask questions and share your thoughts below in the comments section. If, however, you prefer a more private way of communicating with us at the Firearm Firm channel, send an email to questions@thefirearmfirm.com. We try our best to answer all email questions within 1 business day and usually answer them the very same day they are received. If you missed it, you can find the email address below in the description. On September the 2nd of 2022, the Fletcher family from Memphis, Tennessee had their lives forever changed. Many of you have seen on the news or social media the video showing the abduction of Eliza Fletcher while she was out for a morning jog. Sadly, her body was found 5 days later. Just on September the 4th, while the search for Fletcher was ongoing in Tennessee, a Florida woman who was out jogging on the Little Econ Greenway Trail in Orlando, Florida was attacked by a predator from behind who was able to get on top of her. Fortunately, this jogger was able to fight him off and get away. Her attacker was arrested shortly after and is now being charged with attempted sexual battery. Just last week, there was another story on the local news about a guy in a car who tried to lure 2 little girls into his vehicle. So in this video, we are going to discuss what Florida law allows you to do to prevent a kidnapping. To begin our discussion, we need to look to Florida's use or threatened use of force in defense of person, which is found in Florida Statute 776.012. This statute lays out the requirements of when you can use or threaten to use force or deadly force. Now, keep in mind the level of force available to you during an attempted kidnapping might just come down to what kind of weapon, if any, you have when you're attacked. So, always be prepared. Let's talk about the lesser of the 2 forces first. Florida allows you to use or threaten to use force, except deadly force, against an attacker when and to the extent you reasonably believe such conduct is necessary to defend yourself or others against the attacker's imminent use of unlawful force. This is pretty simple. If someone grabs you or another person against their will, you can absolutely fight back by hitting, punching, kicking, biting, and so on. You can also use pepper spray or a taser as a form of non-deadly force since they are considered non-deadly weapons. However, I do want to warn you that a non-deadly weapon can become a deadly weapon under certain circumstances. Pepper spray and tasers, they're good alternatives to those who do not feel comfortable carrying a handgun for protection, and neither require a concealed weapon or firearms license as long as the pepper spray contains less than 2 ounces of chemicals. If you do choose to carry these non-lethal options, please be aware of their limitations. There is no duty to retreat before using non-deadly force in Florida. Now, with that said, just because you don't have a legal duty to retreat does not mean that running away from the attacker isn't the right tactical decision if it can be done so safely. Most of the calls and questions we've been receiving concerning protecting oneself while out exercising revolves around the potential victim having a concealed handgun. Under Florida law, a person may carry a handgun, electronic weapon or device, tear gas gun, knife, or billy concealed on their person as long as he or she has a Florida-issued concealed weapons or firearms license or a carry permit from a state in which Florida shares reciprocity with. Unlike some states, Florida is not an open carry state, which means your handgun has to be concealed and cannot be visible to the ordinary sight. This can be a challenging requirement when exercising out in Florida's heat. The size of the handgun you choose can make this problem even more troublesome. Not to mention workout clothes are made of light fabrics that do not support a holster carrying a heavy firearm. However, there are a lot of carry options out there, including bands and fanny type packs, which will allow you to carry your handgun in a concealed manner. At Katz & Phillips PA, we strongly encourage individuals to display a firearm only in self-defense or defense of others when you or the other person is placed in a deadly force situation. Deadly force is defined as force likely to cause death or great bodily harm. So, how does the law determine if you are justified in your use or threatened use of deadly force? Under Florida law, you are justified in using or threatening to use deadly force in 2 scenarios. The first is when you reasonably believe that such force is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to yourself or another. The simplest example of a deadly force scenario is if you are out jogging and someone jumps out of a car with the gun pointed at you and tells you to get in the car or they will shoot you. In that scenario, you are going to be justified because any reasonable person in your position would have believed that death or great bodily harm was imminent. It would also be justified under the second scenario in which you may use or threaten to use deadly force, which we're now going to discuss. In the second scenario, the use or threatened use of deadly force is justified under Florida law when you reasonably believe such force is necessary to prevent the imminent commission of a forcible felony. Forcible felonies include but are not limited to murder, sexual battery, robbery, kidnapping, and any other felony which involves the use of physical force or violence against any individual. As stated, kidnapping is a forcible felony. The term kidnapping means forcibly, secretly, or by threat confining, abducting, or imprisoning another person against his or her will, and without lawful authority to do so with the intent to 1. Hold ransom or a reward or as a shield or hostage, 2. Commit or facilitate a commission of a felony, 3. Inflict bodily harm upon or to terrorize the victim or another person, and 4. Interfere with the performance of any governmental or political function. Unlike under the use of force, there is a duty to retreat before using deadly force, but only if you are involved in criminal activity or in a place you do not have the right to be. More than likely, if you're out jogging in your neighborhood or a public street, you are not going to have to worry about retreating. Unless, of course, you're out selling drugs on your morning jog. Now that you know when and what level of force you can use, let's go back to the Fletcher kidnapping. Based solely on the video of the kidnapping, there is no question that if Fletcher had been jogging in Florida when abducted, she would have been justified in using or threatening to use deadly force, as it would have been reasonable to believe that such force was needed to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to herself, and or was reasonably necessary to prevent the imminent commission of the forcible felony of kidnapping. Many have asked whether or not they could step in to prevent someone else from becoming the victim of a kidnapping. You absolutely can. Florida law allows a third person to step into the shoes of the victim and to use any amount of force the victim would have been justified in using. Now, with that said, we always advise people to be very careful when you get involved in another person's situation. Why? Because things may not always be as they appear. What happened to Fletcher is a terrifying tragedy, but we cannot pretend this doesn't happen or would never happen to you or a loved one. We have to accept the reality that there are evil people out there who are willing to do unspeakable things to others. The only way to prevent from being a victim is to always be aware of your surroundings, have a plan, be vigilant, be educated, and most importantly, train as much as you believe your life or the lives of your loved ones are worth. We hope you found this video to be helpful. If so, please don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button. Finally, our condolences go out to the Fletcher family. Although there is nothing that can be done to bring her back or take away the pain, we hope in the end justice will be served. Until next time, stay safe, stay armed, and educated.